All right, so I'm going to talk to people. There's been a question about having coffee and not being able to give up your coffee. And there's two factors to this. But before we get into that, let's talk about when we meditate, these ideas that we have to not be who we are. So in no place do we ever say we're supposed to be giving up who we are when we meditate. In fact, the opposite is what comes about, is we become more of who we naturally are. We begin to throw away maybe so much need to be validated by outside I'm going to say phenomenon, because it can change. TikTok to disappear next week and we're no longer, all those followers are gone, and who's going to validate you now? And before that, it was how many friends you had, or maybe how many people sent you Valentine's on Valentine's Day. The meditation will absolutely have you more grounded into a sense of being, this sense of being, which we can all experience by simply, right now, if I ask you all to close your eyes, we become aware of our body. We become aware of, probably right now, my voice. We become aware of our mind saying things. But beyond that, there is another awareness. There is something else within us that we become aware of very instantly when we close our eyes. So those of you, open your eyes. And I will do another exercise based on that. Those of you who are regular practitioners of this meditation will know that feeling, will have that experience. We are more than simply what we see on the outside. So when someone is asking about, oh, I can't give up my coffee, there is a sense of self, a sense of moment of, am I giving something up of who I really am when it comes to the meditation, right? There is a sense of, if we want to say, the ego, the mind, or we can call it personal identity, right? What we grow up in is, who are you? Let's find your personal identity. It can begin with, if you are raised within a genetic family, oh, you look just like your dad, or oh, you sound just like your mom. Oh, you two are two peas in a pod, right? This is how we begin our personal identity journey, right? From a very young age, right? So all things, when we feel like we have to give it up, there's a sense of our personhood, whether we want to kill that ego, but the sense of who we are. Oh my gosh, I can't give that up. And that is one element that can be addressed as the ego as well. Now, let's say one is beyond that, right? We close our eyes like we've just done, and we understand there's a deeper sense of who we are. Does that sense need coffee? No, that doesn't need coffee, right? So we now have the idea of what coffee is. So coffee can represent a ritual. Coffee can represent the drug caffeine, right? And then coffee can also represent that sense of identity, right? Having a cup of coffee, a ritual, sitting down, often people associate that with having a cigarette or having a moment. My culture, it's tea. When someone would say, can you give up tea? I would be asking them, what are you actually asking me to give up? Are you asking me to give up my sense of ritual, of where I like to sit down, sip on something that's warm, and have a little relaxation? Because I can do that without tea. But I call it tea because I have an association with tea, right? That is a sense of calm that comes over me. That's a space where I am able to go inward, allowed my thoughts to percolate, maybe rest after doing, let's say, a bunch of washing, or maybe the dishes or housework, or, oh, I've just been out and I got the shopping and I've taken the shopping out and now I'm going to sit down and have a cup of tea, right? That ritual, right? When someone says they can't give up the coffee, are you being asked to give up your ritual, right? And then the next factor is the caffeine itself, right? So caffeine, we're all very aware of, is a drug, and the caffeine sends messages from the brain, blocking it, saying that you're not tired any longer. And in this meditation practice, in no place do we ever tell you you cannot be who you are. So when I tell people, if you want to get your meditation in and you're used to having a cup of coffee in the morning at 7 a.m., get your meditation done before 7 a.m. One, you're going to keep your ritual, which is actually very comforting to the nervous system. And two, you may notice whether you actually need the caffeine or not, right? There's nothing wrong with having a cup of coffee. We are here in this body. We are able to, with this a non-duality teaching, the Vedanta teaching, enjoy having a body and being able to have a cup of coffee, right? When we come to giving up your coffee, or, oh, I just can't get up that 30 minutes earlier, it's not really about can you get up 30 minutes earlier. It's about, can you actually go to bed 30 minutes earlier? Because the morning experience is usually a reflection of what happened the night before, right? Our meditation experience is usually an experience of what happened to the body before, right? Right before we meditate, do we get a text that sends us through the roof, right? And this is the only time to meditate. And now, of course, all we can think about is answering that text. Well, that's not what my meditation was for, right? So the planning of it is for the betterment of the body, right? There are plenty of studies of caffeine isn't good to have. And then yet, if you have a migraine, what's usually in migraine medicine, I gave it away. Migraine medicine, whether it is herbal or not, it's the form of caffeine, right? A stimulant. Those who might have ADHD don't want to take prescribed medications, but know if they have a cup of coffee with some caffeine in it, it actually brings them inward. So all we're saying is address the usage of caffeine with discernment. Use your intuition with it. Close your eyes for that moment. Know that there is Paula's voice. Know that there is the mind prattling on. But there is somewhere else beyond the sensations of the body. There is a deep, calm sense. Does that want caffeine right now? You may say yes, even if you know, oh, poop, it doesn't. Which is okay, because that's part of the human journey. So use your discernment. What if you're at a place where you're sick of it and you don't want the caffeine anymore? I'm like, I really don't want it. I don't like myself. I don't want it, but I find myself do it. Then perhaps you're taking yourself off of it too quickly, little by little. Decaffeinated coffee still has some caffeine in it. Maybe you try tea. Yerba mate tea is full of caffeine. Many regular coffee drinks are not as strong as that. So does that satisfy what you're doing? I would say really investigate whether you actually want the caffeine, whether you want the ritual, whether you like the texture. Most of favorites for food discerning is actually based on texture. Is it the texture of the coffee? Does it take you to somewhere? So that will be my answer on my little talk about the caffeine. The person who's asked this question, they're not going to be on the recording. So just give me a nod if I answered what you needed. Okay, so that's got needed. If you want something else to be answered, this is going to go up on YouTube, I think. You can pop it in the comments and I'll get back to you there, or furthermore, or if it's helped you. So with that, that's the end of the little caffeine chat.